If you've reached the age of 70, 75, or even 80, have you ever sat quietly and asked yourself, is there still something I can be proud of? Perhaps you can feel the changes in your body more clearly now. A step that's slower than it used to be. The strain when you stand up from a chair. A morning when your back feels stiff and heavy. Life shrinks a little, pulling inward towards the familiar walls of your home. Long trips are now distant memories. Family meals, once filled with laughter, are fewer and quieter. And somewhere deep inside, a silent worry grows. Am I becoming a burden to my children and grandchildren? No one says it out loud, but you know the feeling. That slow erosion of independence, pride, and sometimes even dignity. But today, I'm not here to talk to you about loss. I'm here to offer you an important reminder. If you can still do some of these things at 70 to 80, you're a rare and precious gem in this world. Not everyone still does. But if you hold on to even a few of these things, you'll live a far more admirable life than you might realize. And if you feel that you've lost some of them along the way, don't worry. Because as long as we are still breathing, loving, and dreaming, it is never too late to begin again. Imagine this. One morning, you brew yourself a hot cup of tea. You stand by the window, greeting the first light of day as it pours in. You smile quietly because you know that today, you can still walk freely, care for yourself, and cook a simple but meaningful meal that carries the flavors of a lifetime. You pick up the phone and call your children or grandchildren, not to complain, but simply to share a small joy you experienced that morning. You flip through a few book pages or fumble with your smartphone as you order a birthday gift for your beloved grandchild. You think back over your life, the hardships, the smiles, the dreams, and realize that every step you take today, every peaceful breath you draw, is a quiet, decisive victory. Do you see it? You are still living an incredible life. And if you can still hold on to even a few of these things, you truly deserve to be called a rare and precious gem. So, what are the 8 wonderful things? What are the 8 signs that show you're not just adding years to your life, but also adding life to your years? In today's video, we will explore together the small but extraordinary values you hold, the silent but proud actions you take. The simple habits keep your later years full, rich, and meaningful. And don't worry, this won't just be a dry list. For each part, I'll share real stories. Stories of people just like you. Ordinary people who have chosen to live extraordinary lives through the small moments they cherish. So stay with me until the end of the video. Because what you're about to learn isn't just about health tips or happy living tricks. It's about how to make your later years the most radiant chapter of your life. If you feel connected to this journey, don't hesitate to hit so I know you're walking this path with me. And if you want to spread this inspiration to those you love, please share this video. We are not alone on this journey. We are building a proud, beautiful old age together. Chapter 1. You can still walk on your own. Every day. Do you remember those days when your steps were still light and strong? When every morning, all it took was slipping on a pair of shoes, and you could confidently stroll through the neighborhood or wander down tree-lined streets, breathing in the rich scent of damp earth after a fresh rain. Time moves on, and the legs that once carried you through countless seasons have begun to tire. Maybe your steps aren't as quick as they used to be. Your knees ache now and then, especially when the weather changes. A few steps up the stairs may leave you breathless, forcing you to pause and catch your breath. There are mornings when you sit at the edge of your bed, look down at your now thinner feet, and quietly wonder, how much longer will I be able to walk? But today, I want to whisper a little secret to you. As long as you can still walk on your own each day, Even if it's just a few steps, you are holding on to a treasure not everyone still has. Every morning, in a quiet corner of Beacon Hill, people are used to seeing an elderly man with silver hair, wearing a gray sweater, walking slowly but steadily along the park road. His name is Harold, 78 years old. 5 years ago, after slipping and falling in the bathroom, Harold spent nearly 8 months on crutches. Doctors told him, "You should prepare yourself. You may never walk normally again." Those words cut deep into Harold's pride like a knife. But Harold refused to give up. That very day, he made a silent vow to himself. "If I have to learn to walk again, then I will. Even if I have to start from zero, I will begin." And he did. At first, it was just tiny steps down the hospital hallway, hand gripping the wall. Then, short laps around his backyard. Eventually, he conquered the small park near his home. Now people see Harold walking steadily every morning, his posture upright, his gaze calm, even though he only covers a few hundred meters. And even though each step still takes effort, every single one of his steps speaks a fierce declaration: "I am still free. I am still the master of my own life." You see, the ability to walk every day is about far more than just movement. It's a symbol of independence. You don't need anyone to guide you at every step. Freedom. You still chart your own journey, whether it's long or short. Confidence. Every step is a statement. I can still move forward. Being able to walk freely opens the door to countless other blessings. You can leave, soak in the sunshine, and breathe fresh air. You can visit friends, family, and neighbors. You can pick out the freshest produce at the market, or treat yourself to a cool iced tea under a tree. Every time you stand up and step outside, you're holding on to your freedom. When someone loses the ability to move independently, they often slowly lose their independence, their connections, and too often, their dignity. You don't need complicated workout routines. You simply need to be faithful to small actions every day. Walk gently for 10 to 15 minutes each morning. If you get tired, rest and then continue. Practice standing up and sitting down from a chair 10 times daily without using your hands. It's an excellent way to strengthen your legs. Spend a few minutes each evening flexing and stretching your ankles and knees. Simple movements that keep your joints flexible. Climb stairs slowly if you're able. Every step is a small victory. Try gentle balance exercises like standing on one foot, holding onto a chair if needed. These little actions, accumulated over time, will build a strong foundation for your legs, just like Harold did, just like millions of others around the world quietly do each day. If today you can stand up on your own, step outside on your own, head to the market, or simply stroll a few circles around your home, be proud. Gift yourself a bright, genuine smile, because you are holding one of the rarest treasures of aging, the freedom in every step you take. And if you're finding it more challenging these days, don't lose heart. Even the longest journey begins with a single step. Each day, if you keep stepping forward, even just one small step, you win. Winning not against anyone else, but against the weaker version of yourself from yesterday. If Harold's story and the value of walking on your own touched your heart, please leave me a comment below. Share with me. How many steps did you walk today? Or what small moment of independence are you most proud of lately? And don't forget to hit like and subscribe to the channel so we can keep walking together on this incredible journey ahead. Chapter 2. You can still take care of yourself, adding personal hygiene. Have you ever paused during a busy morning and quietly asked yourself what truly defines dignity and pride in our later years? It's not the big houses. It's not the luxurious vacations. It's not the expensive clothes or the crowded parties. Sometimes it's simply the ability to care for yourself, waking up on your own, washing your face, combing your hair, preparing a simple breakfast with your own hands, changing into clean clothes by yourself. These small, seemingly ordinary actions are, in truth, silent symbols of self-reliance, self-respect, and dignity. For many, losing the ability to care for themselves is more painful than losing wealth or status, because it's not just physical dependence, it's emotional vulnerability too. I want to tell you about Cora, a 77-year-old woman living alone in a small apartment on the city's edge. When I visited her, she was bustling around her little kitchen, her hands wrinkled but surprisingly nimble. Her lunch that day was a simple bowl of hot vegetable soup and a plate of tender baked salmon. As she cooked, she smiled and shared, "Every morning, I get up by myself. I brush my teeth, wash my face, and brew a coffee. I cook my meals, sweep the floor, and tend to my plants. Nothing fancy, I just love the feeling that I'm still in charge of my life." I looked at her hands, slightly trembling from age, yet every movement radiated determination and care. Those were not just hands preparing food. Those were hands fiercely guarding self-respect and deep self-love. She added softly, "I don't want to become a burden. I don't want someone else doing things for me that I can still do myself." In her gentle voice, I could hear a quiet but profound pride. The ability to take care of yourself gives older adults irreplaceable gifts, preserving dignity. No one wants to depend on others for basic needs. Building confidence, every act of independence says, "I'm still in control of my life." Maintaining connection with life. When you actively participate in eating, bathing, and daily activities, you stay connected to the rhythms, joys, and purposes of living. And most importantly, taking care of yourself is one of the deepest expressions of self-love. Every time you stand in front of the mirror, brush your own hair, and smile at your reflection, you're saying, "You're worthy of care and love and will be the first to offer it to yourself." Of course, aging brings its natural limits, but don't let those limits stop you from trying. Here are small habits you can nurture daily to preserve your precious independence. Gentle stretching each morning to keep your body flexible. Simple exercises for your hands and shoulders. Grasping small objects, wrist rotations, massaging your palms. Practicing balance by standing on one foot for a few seconds each day. Take the time to prepare simple, nutritious meals. There is no need for anything fancy, but they should be made by your hands. Keeping a regular routine. Set times for eating, sleeping, and light activity. You might also create a small, self-care corner at home. A simple vanity for grooming, a neat and accessible shelf for essentials, and a sturdy chair for dressing. Every small action carries significant meaning. If today you manage to get up on your own, brush your teeth, comb your hair, cook a meal, even if it was slow or your hands trembled a little, please be proud. You are doing something extraordinary. You are loving yourself by preserving your independence, and if one day you need a little help with a few small things, that's okay too. True independence isn't about doing everything alone. It's about maintaining a spirit of resilience, not giving up, and staying engaged with life. Every day, you care for yourself, even just washing your face or brewing a cup of tea. And you guard something more precious than any possession, your dignity and self-respect. If you care for yourself daily, even in the smallest ways, I invite you to share your pride with me in the comments below. Your small action today could be the inspiration someone else needs. If you want to continue preserving your independence, freedom, and joy in later years, remember to share and subscribe to the channel. We have many more beautiful stories ahead to walk through together. Chapter 3. You still have financial independence. There is a very special kind of freedom in life, one you can only truly appreciate after you've tasted it. It's not the freedom to travel the world. It's not the freedom to buy luxury goods. It's certainly not the freedom to flaunt wealth. It's the freedom of financial independence, the right to live life on your own terms without bowing your head to borrow, without hesitating to ask anyone for money. And if, at 70, 75, or even 80 years old, you still hold on to that independence, even at the most basic level, then congratulations. You are a rare and precious gem in this world. I still vividly remember a conversation with Mr. Raymond, a 76-year-old gentleman living in a small apartment on the outskirts of town. His home was simple: a worn sofa, a few potted plants on the balcony, and a bookshelf brimming with old books. But the smile on his face left the most profound impression. Mr. Raymond shared, "I don't have much in savings, son. Just a small pension and a bit I tucked away while I was still working. It's enough to live on, enough to take care of myself. I don't have to stretch out my hand to my children. I don't have to worry whether I'm a burden today." He paused, glancing at the golden sunlight streaming through the window, and said softly, "I love the feeling of paying my own electric bill, shopping for my own groceries, and deciding for myself what I want to eat today. It gives me a kind of pride that no money can buy." I was speechless. In his slow, straightforward way, I saw something priceless: freedom, self-reliance, rooted deep like an ancient tree that has weathered countless storms. At 70, financial independence isn't about making lots of money anymore. It's about the ability to decide your own life, the ability to ease the burden on your children, the ability to live with dignity, without regret, the ability to love others without feeling like a burden. Because when you can pay for your own life, even the simplest of lives, you're not only protecting your own dignity, you're giving peace of mind to those who love you. On the other hand, even small financial dependence can quietly breed guilt, strain, and exhaustion in family relationships. Not because your children don't love you, but because today's economic pressures already weigh heavily on everyone. If you can stand firm financially, you are giving a gift far more significant than money. You are giving peace. Maybe you're thinking, "I'm old now. How can I improve my finances?" But even small daily actions can help you maintain that precious independence. Here are a few simple yet powerful tips. Save consistently, even just a few dollars a day. Every little bit builds a shield for your future. Spend wisely. Prioritize essentials. Resist emotional spending. Take advantage of public benefits like health insurance, senior assistance programs, and community resources. Learn basic financial management. Track your bills and budget your expenses. Be cautious with investment offers. Avoid scams targeting seniors. Diversify small sources of income. Maybe rent out part of your home, sell unused items, or join part-time community programs suited to your abilities. You don't need to become a millionaire. You just need enough to live, enough to stand tall, enough to find peace. Every dollar you earn or save on your own, no matter how small, is a quiet victory. If today you can pay your own utility bills, buy your own medicine, decide what meal you'll eat or which new shirt you'll wear, please be proud. You are safeguarding one of the most vital pillars of aging with freedom: financial independence. And if your finances aren't as strong as you'd like them to be today, don't lose hope. As long as you're still conscious about saving, still trying to manage your spending, still seeking solutions instead of giving up, then you move closer to true financial freedom every day. Remember, freedom doesn't lie in how much money you have. Freedom lies in how you manage the money you have. If Mr. Raymond's story and the values of financial independence resonate with your heart, please leave me a comment below. You could share one small saving tip of your own, or simply whisper to yourself, "I will always protect my financial freedom." And if you find this message meaningful, don't forget to share and subscribe to the channel. Together, we will continue building a journey of freedom, dignity, and joy in our golden years. Chapter 4. You still maintain a positive spirit every day. Did you know? There's a silent kind of strength in life, one you can't see with your eyes, can't measure with numbers, but it defines the quality of every life. It's called optimism, not blind optimism, not pretending to be cheerful to cover up the pain, but a profound, genuine optimism, rooted in the belief that no matter how life turns out, you can still find a glimmer of light, something good, a reason to smile each day. And if at 70, 75, or 80 years old, you still carry that spirit, then you are holding a dazzling gem amidst the gray skies of aging. I once met a man like that. His name was Elias, and he was 81 years old, living alone after his wife died. Both of his children had settled overseas. At an age when many might sink into loneliness and sorrow, Elias had a way of living that surprised everyone he met. He would open his windows every morning to flood his small home with sunlight. He would brew hot coffee, place it by the window, and watch the world go by. He kept a small notebook, recording every little thing that made him smile each day. A blooming flower by the sidewalk, a video call from his distant grandchild, a home-cooked meal that turned out just right. Once I asked him, "Don't you feel sad, Elias, being far from your children, growing older all alone?" He smiled, the deep lines on his face creasing, but his eyes shining brightly. "Of course I miss them, but I choose to miss them with joy, because as long as I can find one thing to be grateful for each day, I am still alive, still loving, still hoping." That answer stayed with me for a long time. As we age, our bodies may weaken, our wealth may dwindle, relationships may thin out, but the spirit, if nurtured, can grow even stronger. Someone rich in optimism will recover more quickly from illness, lower their risk of depression and anxiety, maintain a higher quality of life, foster closer, more positive relationships, live longer, and live happier. Optimism doesn't change reality, but optimism changes how we face reality. And in life, how we face things defines our journey. Optimism isn't a gift you're born with. It's a skill, a habit that you can practice daily. Here are some small secrets happily aging people often share. Start the day with gratitude. Each morning, ask yourself, what am I grateful for today? Even if it's just the sunshine, a warm cup of tea, or your legs still able to carry you. Focus on the good. When facing hardship, ask, why me? Instead of asking, what can I learn from this? Make a habit of laughter. Watch a comedy show, read a funny story, or chat with a positive friend. Connect with nature. Sunlight, gentle breezes, birdsong, all are wonderful natural healers for the soul. Surround yourself with optimists. Positive energy is contagious, stronger than you think. Practice forgiveness. Let go of resentment, not because others deserve it, but because you deserve peace. Remember, optimism is not denying the pain. Optimism is courageously facing the pain and moving forward with a smile. If today you can still smile even when life isn't perfect, if you can still find gratitude for a small blessing, if you can still believe that something good is waiting for you tomorrow, then be proud. You are holding one of the greatest treasures aging can offer, a heart that still loves life. And if today you find yourself drowning in gray, weary days, remember this: if you choose to look, there is always at least one small good thing around you waiting to be seen. Start with a smile, a kind word, a whispered thank you to life. Slowly you will see. Each day, no matter how small, can become a bright painting if you choose to color it with the shades of optimism. If today you have chosen to smile despite whatever challenges surround you, please leave me a comment below. I choose to live joyfully every day. And if the stories in this video have brought a little warmth to your heart, don't hesitate to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. We'll continue this journey together, seeking joy, hope, and true freedom every day of our golden years. Chapter 5. You still learn and explore new things. When was the last time you learned something new? Maybe it was back when you were still sitting at a school desk. Perhaps it was when you started your very first job. Or maybe it was when you tried cooking a new dish for your family. But sometimes, as life drifts into quieter days, we forget a simple truth. Learning doesn't have an expiration date. Exploration has no age limit. And if at 70, 75, or even 80 years old, you still have the desire to learn, still feel that spark of excitement for something new, then congratulations. You are holding on to one of the most timeless strengths of all, a heart that never stops growing. I once had the chance to meet Mrs. Elsie, 79 years old, in a class, learning how to use a smartphone. She came to class carrying a little notebook, carefully jotting down every step: how to open an app, how to make a video call, how to look up information online. Each time she succeeded at a new task, she would beam with a smile, like a child discovering magic for the first time. One time I asked her, "Is it hard for you to learn all this?" Mrs. Elsie laughed, her eyes crinkling into two small crescent moons. "Of course, it's hard. Sometimes I press the wrong button and erase everything and have to start all over again. But it's so much fun. Every time I learn something new, I feel like I get a little younger." She told me that by learning how to use her phone, she could now video call her grandchildren far away, look up exercise videos on YouTube, find new recipes, and read the news daily. "It's like the whole world has opened up before me," she whispered. Many people say, "I'm too old to learn." But in reality, the moment we stop learning is the moment we truly start aging. Because, like a muscle, the brain shrinks if we don't exercise it. Learning keeps our minds agile and helps prevent memory decline. Discovering new things sparks positive emotions, bringing daily excitement and joy. The feeling of mastering something new builds confidence and self-respect. It doesn't matter what you choose to learn: a new song, a new recipe, how to use a simple electronic device, a few English vocabulary words, a gentle yoga pose. What matters is keeping the fire of curiosity alive inside you. You don't have to enroll in college. You don't have to master high technology. You simply need small actions each day. Learn a new skill: knitting, cooking a new dish, gardening, folding origami. Explore technology at your own pace. Learn how to make video calls, send emails, or order groceries online. Read a book, or listen to audiobooks on topics you love. Keep a journal. Write down what you've learned and how you felt each day. Spend 10 minutes a day discovering something new: history, astronomy, world cultures. Join a club or study group for seniors. Each new piece of knowledge, each small skill gained, is a brick building, a strong, lasting fortress for your spirit. If today you're still excited to learn something new, even if it's just peeling an apple more neatly or downloading a small app onto your phone, if today you still look up at the sky and wonder, how much more is out there for me to discover, then please be proud. You are not just living, you are growing every single day. And if today you feel lost, unsure of your path, remember this: every tiny exploration step brings you closer to a fuller, more meaningful life. If you still love learning and discovering the world, please share it with me by leaving a comment below. What new thing did I learn today? And if you want to continue this beautiful journey, keeping your heart young and your mind open, please share and subscribe to the channel so we can keep exploring life's wonders together at every age. Chapter 6. You still nurture family and friendship bonds. When we are young, we often believe that health, wealth, or success are precious. But as time goes by, as family gatherings become less frequent, as the house feels emptier with grown children leaving the nest, as phone calls trickle down to a few here and there, we come to realize the most profound meaning of life lies in our relationships, family, friends, the people we love and who love us back. If at 70, 75, or 80 years old, you still maintain close ties with family and friends, even if it's just simple, small connections, then congratulations. You're holding one of life's most precious treasures. A man named Mr. Arthur, 82 years old, lives in a small house on the outskirts of town. Every Sunday, rain or shine, he prepares a family meal. Nothing fancy, just a pot of soup, a platter of grilled meat, and a few homemade desserts. His children and grandchildren, busy with their own lives, often stop by only briefly, sometimes just for a few minutes. But Mr. Arthur is never upset. He prepares each meal with love and patience. One day, his 10-year-old grandson asked, "Grandpa, why do you keep making Sunday dinners even when sometimes no one eats much?" He smiled, gently brushing the boy's hair, and said, "I don't cook just for people to eat. I cook to give everyone a reason to come home, to remind you all that there's always a place waiting for you." Hearing that, my eyes welled up. As we grow older, our bodies may weaken, our finances may shift, our memories may fade, but the bonds between people, if nurtured, it can remain strong and beautiful, because family and friends give us a sense of belonging, a fundamental key to human happiness. Close relationships lower the risk of depression, loneliness, and illness. Social interaction keeps the brain active and slows cognitive decline. Love and care from others are the most potent medicine for the soul. No one thrives in isolation. A quick text, a birthday call, a coffee catch-up with an old friend, a simple family dinner. These small things, they can light up a day, a year, or even a lifetime. Relationships are like a garden. To keep them thriving, you must nurture them, not just with water, but with time, attention, and love. To keep your family and friendships strong, you can reach out first. Don't wait for your children to call. Send a simple message yourself. Create small connection habits, a weekly video call, a monthly coffee date, or a handwritten letter for special occasions. Listen more, judge less, especially with younger generations. Open your heart to their stories. Share without imposing. Encourage and invite, but respect their differences. Offer a welcoming space, a warm home, an open invitation without pressure. Forgive the small stuff. Let go of old grievances. Don't let pride stand in the way of love. Remember, no one is ever too busy to care. Sometimes we just need a gentle reminder of why we should. Be that gentle reminder. If today you still have someone to call, someone to text, someone to share a cup of tea with. If today you can still laugh with an old friend, hug a grandchild tightly. If today you can still prepare a meal for your family, be proud. You are preserving one of life's simplest yet most extraordinary miracles. Love, still whole, still alive. And if today you feel a bit of distance growing in your relationships, please don't lose hope, because love, with just a little patience, a little courage, a little open-heartedness, can continuously bloom again. It only takes one word to begin. It only takes one open arm. If you are maintaining loving bonds with family and friends, please share with me by leaving a comment below. Today, I called, and if you believe that family and friendship are the greatest gifts at any age, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Together, we will continue planting beautiful seeds of love on this bright, meaningful aging journey. Chapter 7. You still keep your hobbies and joys alive. Small joys in life hold the power to lift the spirit. A flower you lovingly cared for blooming by your window. A familiar tune you hum while brewing your tea. A fresh page you open each peaceful morning. If at 70, 75, or even 80, you still nurture your personal interests, still find happiness in the simplest of things, then congratulations. You are writing the most beautiful chapter of your life, painted with the vibrant colors that come from within. In a quiet little town, there's an elderly lady named Margaret, who is 84 years old. She had been a literature teacher for over 40 years. When she retired, many assumed she would set aside her books and writings, but no. Every morning, Mrs. Margaret still spends an hour writing in her journal, composing poems, or simply jotting down her scattered thoughts. On a worn wooden table by her window, there's always a thick notebook, a few fountain pens, and a small pot of flowers. She says, "Every day I live not just with food and clothes, but through these words." When I asked her if she ever felt lonely, she smiled gently. "No, dear. Every word I write becomes a friend. Every story I create becomes a new adventure." Mrs. Margaret isn't just fighting against aging. She's turning every day into a small life of meaning through her simple but deeply cherished passions. Aging doesn't mean giving up your passions. On the contrary, it's the perfect time to return to the purest joys of your life. Personal hobbies help maintain curiosity and love for life, stimulate the brain and prevent memory decline, reduce stress, anxiety, and depression, bring a sense of accomplishment and pride, create community bonds through shared interests, whether it's painting, cooking, gardening, reading, knitting, singing, or playing chess. Hobbies are the little candles that light up our days, helping us through the gray storms of aging. You don't need extraordinary talent. You just need to give your heart permission to be happy. Start with simple steps. Join local hobby clubs, a book club, a dance group, a gentle exercise class. Create a happy hour for yourself every day, time reserved for what you love. Learn a new skill if you wish. Painting, embroidery, baking, writing short stories. Share your joy with others. Give someone a painting you made, or invite someone to taste a dish you cooked. Connect with online communities. Countless groups of seniors share the same passions waiting for you. Hobbies are not just hobbies. They are bridges that lead us out of loneliness. If today you still carve out a little time to tend to your passions, caring for a plant, stitching a small embroidery, writing a few lines in a journal, reading a page from a book, cooking a new dish, if today you still feel your heart flutter at the sight of something small and beautiful, then smile, because you are not just getting through old age. You are truly living vividly and meaningfully. It's never too late to ignite a new passion. It's never too late to plant new seeds of joy in your life. You are the one who lights the fire in your heart daily. If you are still nurturing a small daily joy, leave a symbol in the comments below. Perhaps a flower, a book, or a paintbrush. Whatever feels right to you. You don't have to write a long comment, just a little symbol, so we can all see. Your golden years and hours are still blooming brightly, and if you believe that every hobby, every small joy deserves to be cherished, please share this video with a friend or loved one. Who knows, you might spark another beautiful dream today. Chapter 8. You still keep a heart that's open, forgiving, and full of love. When it comes down to it, life isn't measured by the number of years we live, but by how open-hearted we remain throughout those years. There are people, even after 70, 80 seasons of fallen leaves, who still carry a heart as warm as a sunrise, a glance that smiles at others' mistakes, arms wide enough to embrace anger and differences, a soul big enough to forgive not just others, but themselves. If today you still have a heart like that, then you're not just aging, growing in the most beautiful, magnificent way. Let me tell you about Mr. Samuel, 86 years old. He has endured significant losses, the passing of his wife, losing his best friend, and even being betrayed by a relative who took part of his savings. For many, those wounds would have festered forever in their hearts. But Samuel chose a different path, the path of forgiveness. He shared with me, "Every morning I ask myself, do I want to hold on to old hurts, or do I want to embrace today's sunrise?" Instead of living in bitterness, he opened his heart to the small joys of everyday life, chatting with the vegetable vendor at the market, singing an old song to a new friend, smiling warmly at the coffee shop waitress. "Forgiveness isn't because others deserve it," he said. "It's because I deserve peace. Because holding on to anger is like drinking poison and hoping someone else gets sick. Only with a light heart can we truly savor every moment. An open heart lets us connect more easily to the world, others, and ourselves. Forgiveness is a gift we give ourselves, not an excuse for others' wrongs. Imagine this. A heart clinging to resentment is like a kite tangled in thorny branches. A forgiving heart is like a kite soaring freely in the open sky. Which way would you like to live the rest of your life? To keep your heart soft and spacious, you can practice seeing things from others' perspectives. Ask, if I were in their shoes, would I act differently? Remind yourself that everyone has their own story. Sometimes those who hurt us are hurting too. Learn to release what you cannot change. Not everything is under our control, and that's okay. Be grateful for the hard lessons. They make us stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. Forgive yourself. Everyone makes mistakes. What matters is not the mistake, but how we continue with a bigger, softer heart. An open heart doesn't mean an unscarred heart. It means a heart that transforms scars into wisdom, tears into light, and dark days into sparkling memories. If today you can, smile at someone who once made you sad. Forgive an old wound without locking yourself in anger. Embrace the imperfections of your loved ones and of yourself. Then please be proud. You hold within you one of life's most significant powers, the power of a heart turned into a diamond. You're not just growing older, you are shining your very own way. If you have a story of forgiveness, a moment when you chose love over bitterness, please share it in the comments below as a gift for someone searching for light in their heart. And if you believe that keeping an open heart is just as vital as keeping a healthy body, please share this video with a friend, like sending them a fresh bouquet straight to their heart. Let these beautiful stories fly, like kites soaring effortlessly across the open sky. Conclusion: 8 precious gems of a radiant golden age. Dear friend, we have walked together through a profoundly moving journey, discovering things that may seem small, but are actually the most precious gems life can offer. Let's look back. You still walk independently every day, the gem of freedom and self-reliance. You still care for yourself, the gem of dignity and self-love. You still maintain financial independence, the gem of freedom and pride. You still nurture an optimistic spirit, the gem of inner light. You still learn and discover new things, the gem of a youthful heart. You still cherish your family and friendships, the gem of connection and love. You still pursue your personal passions, the gem of joyful living. You still have an open, forgiving, and loving heart, a gem of peace and boundless compassion. Each of these gems, however small, is helping light up your golden journey, allowing you not just to survive, but to truly live, fully and freely. And I want to whisper this to you. If you've managed even a few of these today, you are already one of life's rare, priceless gems. And if you haven't, that's perfectly okay. Because today, right now, it's never too late to start. All you need is to take one small step, nurture one little hope, light one tiny candle in your heart, and your path forward will already begin to shine brighter. If today's journey has touched your heart, please like this video, so I'll know the light from these words has found you. Please share this message with a loved one or a friend, someone you want to remind. They are also a precious gem, and don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments below. I genuinely look forward to hearing about your own journey and the precious gems you are carefully tending for yourself. If you wish to continue walking this path together, to live joyfully, healthily, and freely every day, please subscribe and turn on notifications so we won't lose each other on this luminous journey, because every day we live fully is another day we polish the gem of our lives. Thank you for walking with me until the very end of today's journey. I can't wait to meet you again in our next adventures, where aging is not an ending, but a vibrant, colorful new chapter.